Hey y'all, thank you for joining me today. My name is Holly Lamb and this is Lamb Living. Today I'm going to be making some pretty things with napkins, one of my favorite things to do. This is the January napkin exchange, but we didn't exchange this month. We're going to start again next month, exchanging with one another, with our fellow creators, but we're just crafting from our stash, and I have no problems with that because I love any kind of napkins. I am a napkin collector. Sarah from Sunflowers and DIYing is our host, and she always does such a great job getting us together. All right, our napkin starts to a trip to Tuesday morning. Look at spring that has sprung in Tuesday morning. Oh my goodness, what a smorgasbord of napkins they have. It was hard not to just grab one. Those lemons are calling my name. I left them, but I'll be back. And those beautiful pink. This doesn't even include all the Easter napkins they had. Oh, but here's the one that drew my eye. Look at that beautiful blue in the background and those gorgeous spring flowers. You're coming home with me. All right, super. I actually got 2 packs. I didn't know, knew I was going to make a big wreath. I'm using that 14-inch wheel wreath from the Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to zip tie that to the 18-inch wreath form from the Dollar Tree as well. I found these 2 little china plates. This one I found at the Restore, our Habitat for Humanity store, for $1. And look at those little birds, and it has that gold rim on it. And then this one I actually found at the bins. Look at that. No chips, no nothing. It was just willy-nilly there in the bins. And it has a little silver rim to it with a pretty pink flower. And I really was wanting to use that, the bird china piece. I was really drawn to that gold and those little birds. But I asked my husband later, when I reserved the right to decide, once I got all the napkins on, to see what actually looked the best. And you'll see, I think you probably know which one I end up using. But those birds, they'll come back. We know. I just love all things birds right now. I'm a little obsessed. So I have just put 3 zip ties to put those 2 wreath forms together to hot glue all of our napkins to. We're going to make a large flower with that china in the middle as the center of our flower. So to give it a little bit more area to glue to, I am just putting a few zip ties into another kind of like spokes going through the wheel, making another round for my wheel. And it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to be something I can glue to. And so here I go. I'm trying to decide. I want the napkins to come out like petals. And then we're going to put that center on. And see, I'm still trying to get that bird china dish in there for the middle. But no, that's not to be. All right, now this layer, these are 3-ply napkins, and that layer I'm going to set aside because that is the back layer, which was completely white, and it's great to make napkins by running them through my printer, and then I can make my own prints and things from that. But now this one has a little bit of the ink still on it, so that one I truly will use as a napkin. And wipe my paintbrushes, and actually I end up with a whole stack of these. So I put them in a basket on the dining room table. Now I'm just folding these kind of like a pocket square for a gentleman, and I'm putting just a little bit of hot glue inside. And you can see here I use the whole package. That's 32 pieces, 32 napkins. And there's my little stash that I put, or my little stack I put in a basket and put on the kitchen table. We're going to use those up. And then I just wanted to, I'm not even, you see me tapping there, I'm not even touching the napkin. I'm just making sure it's down. I don't want to tamp it down. I don't want any glue to come through. I want it to look light and loose on top. So it just looks like beautiful pleats that are hanging naturally. And so we're going to finish up our little pleat. Now you see how it's kind of going in from the middle and down like a lady's skirt, like it's coming down with gravity. That's beautiful, but I wanted another layer. I wanted it to kind of come up, not almost like a mum or a zinnia would. So I added one more layer. I had some more napkins, so I went ahead and I had to separate all of them, but that's okay. You know, you just put on a good show and separate them. And so I'm just making sure that they're glued down. They're not going to, when I put it up on the wall, they're not going to come out. But again, I'm not tamping it on the top. I don't want any glue to show through at all. And this, I tell you what, if you have a problem with glue strings, this may not be the DIY for you, because I have been picking glue strands off because I can't work it off. I have to just let the glue strand happen. So anyway, all right. So I'm still trying to decide silver or gold, birds or flowers. And I did decide that I need a little bit more bulk for my Gorilla Glue sticks to hold that china onto the center, because I'm not going to put any holes in the china or anything. I'm going to let that Gorilla Glue stick do its work. They're great. They work fantastic. They hold on to anything I want to throw at them. But I did want plenty of glue and have places for that glue to go and hold on to. So I put a few more zip ties in the center there. And I had a little extra of the other cheaper glue that worked great on the napkins. So I went ahead and pulled one of those silicone molds out from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to make a couple of hearts. I'm just using up that extra, the cheaper glue. And I'm going to make a couple of hot glue hearts. And this always works so great. So I'm just working out that glue and getting that Gorilla Glue stick up into the gun so I can use it right here on my china. So I put plenty on there. And this is a Sure Bonder. It's a hot glue gun. And so it puts out plenty of glue. And so I put plenty, and I'm being very careful here. Oh, I just was sure I was going to make a mess of that front, but I was just super careful. And I put more glue on this side, and there we go. And for several days it's been up, and it's holding on just fine, and the napkins are holding on, and it just looks so pretty right there. And you can see, of course, my husband voted for the flowered piece of china, and I did too. It just looks better. It needed that bigger piece of china. That little bird plate will come back, though. I feel certain. We'll have to find a spot for it. Okay, so now there we go. We're just pulling out those little hearts. I don't know what I'm going to use those for, but I actually use them in this next DIY. You'll see how. Now, as I was hanging up that flower wreath, I was looking down at this switch plate, and do you know how I just never noticed this switch plate? You know, I turn on the lights every day in my living room and the hall there, and I never noticed the horrible chips in the paint on this switch plate. Oh my goodness. And so I was looking at it and I thought, I cannot let this go. So I had pulled it off, and I was just going to give it a couple of coats of this plaster chalk paint, and then maybe go over it with a top coat of Mod Podge or something so it wouldn't chip like that again. And my son came in. There I am tapping the tops of the screws. And he said, why don't you paint it like blue, like the couch? And I thought, well, I'll give it some thought. And there's those little hearts. I'm just making the switch plate come up a little bit. So as I decoupaged this beautiful napkin on it, my son kind of inspired me to think outside the box and do something else on this switch plate. So I didn't want to go blue. I wanted to have something a little more neutral, so I went up and looked through my napkins, and I found this one that I've had for a while. I can't even remember where I got it, probably Tuesday morning. And I'm showing you that there's some different patterns in this. It's not one true pattern, but it still is, you know, it's neutral, but it's busy enough. It's got, you know, a little bit of brown, a little bit of cream, and it's got just a touch of gold, because when I was picking up napkins at Tuesday morning the other day, I found some kind of a golden yellow curtain that I got for the living room for something fresh for spring. So this matches those perfectly. So I thought, well, let's go along with got a theme going. I can't help myself. So I'm just tapping that down. I like to do that with my fingers. I like to feel it and get it tapped down, and then I'll go back in with a brush with just a little bit of the Mod Podge, and I'm just using a skewer there to make sure I have the holes poked through for the screws, so as it dries it doesn't get too tight, because those little wrinkles that are in the Mod Podge and the napkin, when it's wet, they'll work themselves out as they dry for the most part. I don't mind a little bit of texture, but for the most part it ended up nice and smooth, you'll see. And then I'm taking a real small nail file and going inside the switches there, and then I'm going to take my Mod Podge and of course give it one more coat. I didn't want anything to chip off of this, and I actually use that one sponge brush for all of my projects for this challenge. I do 4 projects for this challenge, and I use that one sponge brush the whole time. Just kept putting it in that baggie with the zipper closure, and no problem. So here we go. It's all dry, all ready to go. So I'm just putting the screws back in. Now I use my drill to pull them out because they were in there pretty tight. But I don't want to risk, you know, the drill can kind of get away from me sometimes. And I didn't want to risk, you know, scratching my little finish here that I put on with the flowered napkin. So I'm just going to put that back on manually. Now as I do that and touch up the screw heads with my plaster chalk paint, take a look at that medallion underneath that beautiful picture of Jesus hugging a little lamb there. That medallion I made just recently to cover up a scratch that got on the wall during the Christmas season. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make this little medallion. And I'm going to dress it up for this napkin exchange challenge. And then I have the option of going back to this kind of just white medallion. Didn't that turn out nice? I love it. My son challenged me to think outside the box and not just go with plaster, and I think it turned out great. That's a nice little flip for spring. Now let's take care of that medallion over there and make it match a little bit more to our pretty flower. All right, have you all seen these at the Dollar Tree? I've picked up a couple of these. I like this convenience. Parchment paper is not cheap, you know, in the big rolls at Walmart. And so when I saw these 25 sheets, and they're just so convenient to pop up there and use, because with Mod Podge, golly, you can, you know, you can't go wrong with parchment paper. You got to work on parchment paper. All right, I got these little PVC, I guess they're like placemats at my Roses Express. And I'm just going to paint this. This is me painting this. This is after Christmas. I made this to cover up that scratch on the wall. And I decided I wanted that chalky finish. So crazy me goes and puts a couple of layers of plaster chalk paint on it. And then, you know, it would have been way easier to take it outside and spray paint it, which I do in a minute with another one. But I wanted that chalky look. I wanted the white medallion. I wasn't planning on putting, you can see I've kind of distressed it. You can see a little bit of that gold peeking through. And then I did not want to go through distressing all of those lacy finishes there on that placemat. So I decided to make it a little bit stronger. I would hot glue another placemat underneath it, but leave it gold. So then I would have just a hair of gold showing through. You know, I have it lined up as well as I can, but, you know, it's still going to show through just a little bit of that gold. And it turned out beautiful. And when I hung it up on the wall, I needed no support. There we go. I slowed it down so you could see a little bit there. And so that's how it looked to start. So I decided, let's truck off to Roses one more time. I like a trip to Roses. And I got another one, $1.99 for this. And I decided to take it outside, give it a spray paint of just white, ultra matte. And then I'm going to cover it with this napkin that I used. I have some extras. Of course, I got 2 packs because I didn't know how many I would use for the wreath. And so I had plenty left over. And I decided I would just put a simple layer of this napkin on top of this white placemat. Now, it was kind of a, I don't know, kind of a gold. The back, I did the back. I kept the one side gold, and then I did the back. It was kind of a yellowy tan color. But as you know, with napkins, it's always better if the napkin will show off better and show off more true on a white background. So that's why I spray painted it white, because, you know, painting it with white chalk paint was just me being extra. So there we go, and I have a little filler to do right there, but that's okay. Always tear. Straight edges are never going to look as nice as torn edges, so I'm just tearing that napkin to fit right in there. You can't even tell where I pieced that together. And then I'm just dabbing with a barely wet with Mod Podge brush. Just putting a little bit on there and just working that napkin down into those lacy. I am not going to poke out all those lacy details. I am going to rip and then file the edges so I have that beautiful scalloped edge. But that's all I'm going to do to this. And then I'm just going to hang it up there on top of that medallion. So now it is 3 layers deep, which looks beautifully lacy if you get up there nice and close. And I use some sticky tack that I get at Walmart, this white kind I get at Walmart. But now the blue kind from Dollar Tree that you get in that office supply area works great. I just didn't want any blue residue getting on that because I want to reserve the right to take that off and use the white again. All right, we're moving on to DIY number 4, and I'm going to use a wreath rail, my first wreath rail. Okay, so Dollar Tree has started this new trend. I don't know if it's a trend, but I'm hopping on the bandwagon, and I decided to grab this for a Valentine's Day door hanger for my pantry. And I'm taking some of that wood glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put 2 together. They're very thin. Now, they were very straight. I had no problems with how straight they were. They weren't bowed or anything. But I decided I'd just put 2 together. And those clips, of course, are from the Crafter Square there at Dollar Tree. I've got a couple of packs of those. Use them all the time. And so I'm just going to wipe off any wood glue that's kind of squished out. And because when wood glue dries, it is nice, and I mean, I want to say gummy. I mean, it's hard. It's going to be hard for me to sand off. It's not going to come off easy. So I try to not have anything to sand off. And it did a beautiful job. The next day, I had one little piece there I was picking at. But the next day I come back and it is ready to go, nice and flat. And I go ahead and give it a little bit of white chalk paint, and I try to get all the edges, and this part's going to be covered up anyway, so you know, this is just, again, me being extra. All right, now these felt flowers, oh, there's Toby in the background, always watching, always hanging out. These, of course, are from the Dollar Tree. You probably recognize them, but I decided I would give them a little bit. The napkin I'm going to use on this wreath rail has a little bit more muted colors to it. And then I'm going to use some antique Mod Podge that I ordered from Amazon. I'm going to try that out on this particular napkin. And I want to play a little bit more with this antique Mod Podge. It did a beautiful job. I loved it. And it turned out great. I love how this DIY turned out. But I want to play around with this. I think if I had left this the wood color and not painted it white and then put the napkin on top, I might have gotten the same outcome that I got with the antique Mod Podge. But anyway, nonetheless, it turned out beautifully, and I want to play a little bit more with this. Here it is. There we go. It's that antique Mod Podge. It's got a little bit of a, you'll see when I open it up there. I ordered this from Amazon. I've seen it before at Hobby Lobby, but it showed it to me on Amazon, and it was an impulse buy, and so I ordered it and it came in. But look at it going on there. It's nice creamy color, kind of a buttercream type color, and those roses and the flowers in the napkin, also from from Tuesday morning were that fuchsia, that pretty fuchsia of the felt roses, and then the pink was almost kind of a peachy pink. So I didn't want that bright pink of the way the pink came in the felt roses package. I wanted it a little more mute. That's why I tea dyed those overnight and then squeezed them out and set them out to dry. It took about 2 days for those to dry completely, and honestly I stuck them in a low oven for a little while as well, while I was working on something there in the kitchen. And then I decided, well, how am I going to hang this? And so I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to use command strips and then just use this that I had from Sam's from Christmas. And so I thought, you know, I don't want gold, gold, gold. So I thought, let's just see, I've got all this napkin that I got from Tuesday morning, and let's decoupage on this ribbon. This ribbon has wire, it's wired, and so I thought, you know what, let's just put this napkin on top and make it all just cohesive. You know, I like a monochromatic look, and so, you know, I thought, why not? And it would stiffen it up just a little bit, and then I could put command strips on the back and hang it on my pantry door, and it turned out great. And there I am ripping kind of a ripped edge to hide that edge, and then we're just gonna rip that and Mod Podge that on and let it dry. And I'm leaving the tails out. There it is, dry on top, love it. And so now I'm going to fold that over. First I'm going to dovetail so it's nice and clean. There we go. Love that kind of shabby chic, kind of distressed look to it. Not necessarily distressed, but very soft look to that ribbon. Now it's gold, but it's not in your face gold. It's beautiful. There's that foam brush again. I've used it for all these DIYs. It's hanging in there. Doing a nice job. And there I'm going to just fold over so I don't have any cut edges except for right there on the bottom. And look at that, and see, it's nice and stiff. And I'm going to just hot glue that on there. I love how that just all kind of comes together. That love is still popping, but it just sits so naturally right down in that, on that ribbon from Sam's. Sam's always has some really nice ribbon for holidays. I haven't seen them. I was at Sam's last weekend, and I didn't see, they have some garden things out, but no Easter and spring ribbon yet. But I still have a lot of spring ribbon from last year that I got on clearance at the end of the year, into the summer. They were getting rid of it. And so there's my tea-dyed roses. Honestly, the fuchsia ones didn't change too much. The light pink did. I'm just kind of fixing one there, making it the way I want it to look. Another reason why I like those felt roses is they were easy to manipulate and trim up. But the leaves, they darkened just a little bit. The light pink darkened and kind of got a little more peachy. Just beautiful. I love how this turned out. Okay, so I just took a little bit of this just sheer golden ribbon, just a light ribbon I got at Hello Goodbye for $1 a roll, and just made a loopy bow, simple loopy bow, held together with one zip tie, and then I hot glued that right underneath those felt roses, and look how pretty and soft and warm that looks on my pantry door. That just finishes that little corner of my living room and kitchen area. So pretty for Valentine's Day. Love how that looks. Here we are coming around the corner to our beautiful napkin flower with the china center. So pretty, just light and airy, hanging there. I love that print. And then this will go with all kinds of different things. And then there is that beautiful picture of Jesus with his nails in his hands, scarred hands, hugging that sweet lamb, and that medallion that matches the wreath. And what a beautiful corner. What a beautiful corner. I want to thank you for watching today. I want to thank Sarah from Sunflowers and DIY. Please go down and check out her channel. She has lots of great DIYs, and definitely check out the playlist for this napkin challenge. All of my friends, all the other YouTube creators in this playlist always do such a beautiful job. It's always fun to watch their videos. And now I'm looking at that frame with Jesus' picture in it. I'm thinking that needs a little refresher too. Maybe next time, you never know. With faith, all things are possible. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so from the blue house on the corner,